Julia Garner stars as a struggling dancer who's drawn in by dark forces in the new psychological thriller Apartment 7A. Buy it on digital or stream it now on Paramount Plus. Rated R. Head to ParamountPlus.com/Apartment7A to try it free.
Fall is here, and if you want to sleep in the coziest bed imaginable, you have to start with Boll & Branch's best-selling 100% organic cotton sheets. You'll spend every night wrapped in buttery, breathable softness and feel your sheets get even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with Boll & Branch's 30-night guarantee. Plus, for a limited time, get 20% off and free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com with code SPAN. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
All stories are shrouded in kernels of truth, each a grain of sand in life's ever-hastening hourglass, including mine. When I tell you my secrets, if you must know them, well, they are not for the faint of heart. Stop me if I dive too deeply or recount too savagely the memories and visions that have shaped me. Look away if you must, because if you come with me on this journey, you may not like what you see, for we will dance with the supernatural, the macabre, the devil himself, and you will know me better.
Poe Evermore is a historical fiction horror podcast from the minds behind The Dead and SCP Archives. Coming September 19th. A Bloody FM production.
Hello, and welcome to this special episode of Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak. Over the past few weeks, I have asked you to send me voicemails and questions, and boy, did you. I actually think I'm going to have to break this into 2 episodes. I got an overwhelming amount of voicemails and questions, so if you didn't get your question or voicemail in, there's still time, because I'm definitely going to do another one of these sooner rather than later. The last one was back in March, and I had a lot of voicemails going back to that right after that last voicemail episode, so I'm going to start back then with those voicemails, and the next ones I want to go in chronological order, to be fair, you know. And I had some doozies. A few did not make the cut, whether it's because I couldn't understand you very well, and if I can't hear you very well with headphones on and controlling the volume, it won't translate to the podcast very well. I don't think people would be able to understand them, or a lot of people got my voicemail, so everyone knows, it cuts off at 3 minutes, and a lot of people got cut off like mid-sentence, and so I didn't use some of those because a lot of you wanted to tell me your own stories and things, and so I was missing the end of the story. So if you did send in like a story or something, and it was probably over 3 minutes long, that's why I left it out, because the voicemail cuts off after 3 minutes. And and I did get some personal questions, and that's fine. I'm totally happy to answer them. Again, if I ever get anything I'm not comfortable with, I just won't read it on the show. So send in whatever you'd like. If it's inappropriate, or if I feel like it's something I don't want to talk about publicly, I just won't. That simple. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Some of you definitely were not. So I'm going to start with Let's start with a voicemail, shall we?
Hey, Shelby. I've called you before. I'm actually calling this time for a couple of things. What scares you the most in the world? And I don't mean supernatural necessarily. What really frightens you in the world? Me, it is people. And I don't know why. Strange thing to to be afraid of people, but people scare me. I guess, I listen to a lot of true crime as well. Alright, secondly, the next thing, what is, your favorite thing to do in the world? Like, what is like, and not like macabre, but like is your favorite thing to do? So, at any rate, Shelby, you're doing well, and, yeah, that's about it. Alright?
Thank you for those 2 questions. Let's see, let's go in order. What really frightens me? I've talked about this before, but things that are space related, like outer space, that really frightens me. There's some topics about space that they get to me existentially. I talked on my, by the way, I'm so sorry. This is a little more casual and you're going to hear my air conditioner kick on and off. It's very hot today. And I thought, this is a casual episode. They won't mind if they hear a little air conditioner white noise in the background. Maybe it'll add to the ambiance. Like we're actually sitting in my living room together and we're playing 21 questions, but I'm very rudely not asking you any questions back, which would not actually happen if this were us actually hanging out, I promise. But so I'm actually having a beer right now too. So we're having a beer together in my living room. That's nice. Isn't that nice? A hot day. Okay. This is why I have to cut this into 2 episodes, by the way, because I also know that I talk a lot. I mentioned a lot of you leaving really long voicemails, which is totally fine because my tax for being a rambler is to be rambled at. And I love that. I love talking. You love talking to me. I love that I've facilitated this way for us to talk to each other in a way. So, thing that scares me the most, yes, outer space, definitely. I have a real fear of the unknown, which I think a lot of people with anxiety can relate to. So yeah, space, black holes, the idea of there's a thing right now where another moon is just gonna show up soon, close to us. That makes me, I have to center myself. Stuff like that really, really freaks me out. And what do I like to do for fun? Honestly, I know I talk about it a lot, but baking and cooking, truly, it's my happy place. Putting on a podcast and just being in the kitchen and creating something. I really love complicated recipes because I can just fall into them. And then at the end, I find a lot of joy in being productive, basically. And that doesn't have to mean work. I just really find joy in having a finished product at the end of whatever I do that I'm finding joy in. I've really learned that about myself. I love jigsaw puzzles, and that is something you have a finished product at the end. I like sculpting, and you have a finished product at the end. I've noticed in myself as I've grown, the things that I really find joy in, you have a thing at the end. And whether that thing turns out good or bad, that's not the point. It's the journey, Of course, it's a little frustrating when something turns out bad, but so yeah, that's what I do for fun, is cooking, baking, sculpting, jigsaw puzzles. I'm not, I guess I'm not very exciting. I apologize. I like reading. I'm pretty mild-mannered, despite how much I like to talk. So yeah, there you go. Editing Shelby is popping in real quick to say that the next couple of minutes, my audio gets really squirrely. It sounds like I'm on the voicemail, and that was an accident on my part. I accidentally recorded that little track on one of the voicemail tracks, and I don't know why it made my voice sound like that. I honestly don't. I apologize, but it only lasts for a couple minutes. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Reason number, whatever reason we're up to, why I need to split this into a couple episodes. I actually forgot that you can also text me to this number, and I just opened the texts on Google Voice, and there's a lot of text messages here. So the next one will be a text message I'll read. G'day, Shelby. Love your work. Listen to your podcast when I fall asleep. The Lad from Creepy is the other half of my sleep playlist. You have a fantastic voice, though, to be honest, I haven't been brave enough to do your guided nightmares. Your Reddit and true horror stories are my fave, just wonderful creepy ASMR, almost. No boy narrators needed on your show, though, in my opinion, referencing the walrus in your listener voicemail who whinged about need boy narrators. I understand, I'm not a good texter either. You and the creepy pod fellow are my fave narrator voices, for different reasons. Anyway, really enjoy the show. Shout out to the lady who has to talk to her cat. We don't walk hours, but we recognize the cat owner tone in her voicemail. Yes, we did. And then it's a bunch of rock on, devil horn emojis. So thank you so much. I assume you are Australian, but if you're not, I apologize. I actually have your country code right here. Let me see. You are Australian. I looked it up. Okay. I'm not going to dox your whole phone number, obviously, but I should screenshot this and send it to John over at the Creepy Podcast. He would enjoy that as well. But thank you so much. I wanted to include this, even though it didn't have a question. It did involve, I really appreciate that you said there's no need for boy narrators. And I have seen, ever since that one, I've seen less of an ask for that. So I don't know if my audience is just evening out, or they're just coming to accept that I don't do that. I don't have other narrators really on the show. I don't know if you're all you've decided to give up on asking that, but I appreciate it because I like the way I do my show. I feel like it's me sitting, I always love a story time where someone just sits and reads you a story. I mean, I love a fully produced podcast as well. I'm in a lot of fully produced podcasts where I play voices, but I really like the speed of my show. I really do. And again, I have tried to use other voices in my show before, male voices, when I thought I had to have a male voice in a certain part of a story. And I did get feedback that most people just prefer when I'm reading it. I think it's a little interruptive too, if you listen to me for hours and then all of a sudden, who's this man, It's not Shelby doing her best at doing a male voice. It's just an actual dude. Who's this? You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. That's not even a good one, because peanut butter and chocolate is good. That's a reference to the old Reese's commercials, by the way, for the children. Let's bang out some of these questions, these anonymous questions I got. You know what? I know what you want. You want those ones. I know which ones you want to hear. Let's just bang them out. I did not get anything super inappropriate or anything, but I did get some that were about me personally. Let's just do them, shall we? Let's see. The first one is, are you single? Yes. Next question. Any chance for an OnlyFans? No. I'm sorry. Actually, my patrons already knew that question was going to be in here. I told them yesterday. So if you become a Patreon patron, you get little sneak peeks like that. Oh, but I am flattered that you asked, by the way. I admit it. I'm flattered that you asked me that. Same as I worked at a shoe store for a long time, a Skechers. I was the assistant manager. If you ever came by the Skechers in Burbank, between the years, I don't even remember what years anymore, for a few years though, I was there being the assistant manager. Anyway, we got a lot of the Hooters waitresses in because we were one of the only places that sold the specific non-slip shoes they wore, the white ones. If you're familiar with Hooters, they have a very particular outfit, and of course, gorgeous girls. And one of them came in one time and she was like, you could be a Hooters waitress if you wanted. And I was like, oh, thank you. And it was very kind of her. So I understand. That was, thank you. But no, I'm sorry. Then I think this is the last, more personal one. Again, we're just banging these out. Why did you change your last name to Novak instead of Scott? I got divorced. And Novak's a much cooler name. I never liked Scott. It just wasn't my speed. But, when you're young and you think you need to be traditional and all that, but it's Novak now. So there you go. That's why. And that actually kind of goes hand in hand with the first of these three questions. So all puzzles, if you've been trying to puzzle out why all of these things are, there you are. Put it all together for you. Okay. Let's do another voicemail.
Hi, name's John. I'm a big fan of horror podcasts. I just wanted to ask if you could cover Slender Man, unless you've already done it. Is my phone number. Yeah, I really enjoy true crime and horror podcasts. And if you want to reach back out to me, feel free. Thank you for what you do and have a great night or day. Bye.
Hi, John. I blocked out your phone number there because I don't know if you want everyone knowing it. Let's see. Would I ever do Slender Man? I have not done Slender Man, and I just have never had the urge to do Slender Man, to be quite honest. It's never been one of my favorite stories or anything. I mean, I'm not going to say never, maybe someday I'll be like, it's Slender Man time, but I have never done it, and there are no plans for me to do Slender Man. But thank you for your question. I also got some questions from Instagram. See, I overstretched myself. I think I underestimated how much people would want to ask me things, and that's on me and my self-esteem. And you all made me feel much better about myself, and also I've overwhelmed myself. So let's get some questions from Instagram. I posted this, by the way, in the stories. Every once in a while in my Instagram stories for @scareyoutosleep, I'll post like an Ask Me Anything. And sometimes I'll save them like this for the voicemail episodes, but sometimes in the past, I sometimes will just do video responses like throughout the day. So just follow me on Instagram to check that out in case I ever post one. Let's see. There was one, song you've got on repeat right now. And this, I know you mean like maybe a song I'm listening to a lot right now. One of them is Funeral by Telenovela. Check them out, they're great. And the song Funeral is great. It's especially great for breakups if you happen to be going through one of those. But I've also been listening to a lot Amigo the Devil. There's a song called Another Man's Grave that's really great. Check him out, Amigo the Devil. And there's also, there's one, it's called, it's got a long title. It's about a Texaco, and it's so fun. If you like songs that are like stories, then I recommend Amigo the Devil. And he has one called Once Upon a Time at a Texaco. And that one's a lot of fun. And he's got a lot of fun titles. Hungover in Jonestown, Murder at the Bingo Hall. Murder at the Bingo Hall is another good one. But I really like Another Man's Grave. There's a part of it that's, it hits me. It hits me every time. So that was Telenovela, specifically the song Funeral, and Amigo the Devil. That's what I'm listening to. But if you want to know what's playing over and over again in my head, you didn't ask that. But, okay. There's this Rolling Stones song called Beast of Burden. And years ago on YouTube, there was this video and it was like a Gmod Sims video. I don't know I think it was Gmod, and it was of a pizza and this woman. And it was to the tune of Beast of Burden, but she was singing, "My pizza's burning, and I walk for miles, and it's still burning." And I think that I can't even remember the exact lyrics. That stupid old YouTube video has been stuck in my head for days. For days. If you've never seen it, I'm not even going to say if you've never seen it, look it up, because it's so dumb. But it's just, I used to love those like really eerie, creepy Gmod type videos. And this one, like I said, it's just this like woman. I think she's in like a nurse's like scrubs. And there's a pizza, and she's singing it to the tune of Beast of Burden, but it's pizza's burning. My pizza's burning. God, why do you guys listen to this show? Oh, God. Okay, this is another from Instagram, adam.tattoos. Do you have any tattoos? If so, would you be open to me tattooing you? Well, Adam, I haven't really looked at your work. I do remember you. I think I might have followed you back on Instagram, but I'd have to look at your work. I do have tattoos. I have 3. I'm not really covered or anything. I have 3 tattoos. I have been wanting more, definitely. I have ideas for a couple, but I don't know if I'll show them here because it's private. So, yeah. Although I'm sure most of you have seen one of my tattoos because it's on my finger. It was a late night on Sunset Boulevard in my early 20s. And I rolled up into a tattoo parlor and got tattooed onto my finger. Which kind of, that was a little bit of foreshadowing for me. Because my whole job now is like quietly telling stories. I don't know. Actually, it wasn't really foreshadowing now that I think of it. Anyway, but that's one of them you've seen. The other 2 you can probably see in some of my Instagram pictures. Speaking of, you can see one of them in, someone messaged me recently. I know I've mentioned it on the show, but it was like a long time ago. I don't think I've mentioned it recently. So it was kind of like, oh my God, how did you know about that? But I know I have mentioned it before in the past. A long time ago, I was in a music video. Like I was featured, like I was the only person in this music video. And you can see one of my tattoos in that because I'm like changing my clothes. And I know you're going to want to know what it is. Let me find it. Okay, shout out to Michael Howard, who sent me the link to that because I couldn't find it anymore. It's been a long time. So if you want to see that music video, which my friend Kristen, who posted it, will be blown away that she gets any traffic to that, I think 12 years later. But I can post it in the show notes if you want to see it. Or, yeah, I guess I'll post it in the show notes. I don't know if anybody wants to see it, but yeah, it's a good song. It's a great song. So, Let's do another voicemail, shall we?
Who the fuck are you?
Caller, I ask myself that every day, and I still haven't really figured it out. So, but that's part of the journey, right? The journey of life. It's all part of the plan, whatever this mysterious universe has for us. Actually, I have no idea who that was or why they were asking who I was, but I thought that was pretty fun. So it is a question. It counts, okay? Okay, let's see. What is your horror? Hear me out. That's a good one. I love the Hear Me Out game. I've never gotten to play it with anyone. Sometimes I think about my answers. For those of you who don't know, the Hear Me Out game, which it's not really called the Hear Me Out game, but Hear Me Out is it's usually when you have a crush on someone, but it's someone who's like not conventionally hot. It started out as like normal, not conventionally hot people, and now it's grown to like Mufasa from The Lion King and like Squidward and the Monopoly guy, like stuff like that. But so it's usually something that's like most people would disagree that it's a good thing, but you have an opinion about it and you think it's a good thing, and then you explain what your opinion is. Anyway, most of you probably already knew that, but just for the like 5 people who didn't, I just wanted to explain them. So my horror Hear Me Out, I think, is Dash Cam. Rob Savage's Dash Cam. A lot of people really fucking hated that movie, and the protagonist is definitely someone you love to hate. Or I guess some people don't love to hate her. She's someone who like is very, you're not rooting for her for the most. I think most people would not be rooting for her. And so that makes it hard, I think. And I just think it's so fun. I love found footage. I love the way it's done. And I love, love, love the fucking weird twists it takes near the end, and it gets gross and not just a gory way, by the way. It gets like bodily fluid gross, so just a warning, I guess. But I really love it. I think last time I checked, it was on Hulu if you want to watch it. But Rob Savage also did host the one there where it was all on Zoom, which was fantastic. He had a concept of it like that was floating around the internet, and I think that's how he got funding for it. Where all these friends, like during the pandemic, are on Zoom together, or an internet call, and then like spooky shit starts happening, And that's probably I think it's one of the best horror movies ever, honestly. He also did Boogeyman, which, as you know, sponsored one of my episodes. I promise that doesn't make me biased, but I did get to see him when I got to go to I was invited to do the Boogeyman experience put on by Disney, where they had all kinds of cool stuff. It's on my Instagram, but he was actually there, and big fan of his work. I think Dashcam, though, is probably one that I would have to say hear me out, because I've told people about it, and they either love it or they hate it, and they're like, what did you make me watch? Like, questioning their entire relationship with me because I told them to watch this movie. So just go into it with a grain of salt. Go into it knowing that it's gross and you're going to hate the protagonist. Just so you know those things. And like I said about Love Witch on my bonus episode on Patreon yesterday, if you don't like it after the first 15 minutes, just shut it off and we don't need to be mad at each other, okay? Okay, next question. Oh, this one. Okay, I've actually gone over this with a few friends of mine. If you had to murder someone for whatever reason, how would you do it? How would you get rid/hide of the body? Would you crack and turn yourself in? Parentheses, not FBI, just morbidly curious. That's what the FBI would say. But okay, I almost didn't want to answer this one because I have a creative answer, because I got to think about it for a few days, because you sent this a few days ago and I actually got to sit and think about it. And okay, this all depends on, I shouldn't clap my hands sometimes I clap my hands because I talk with my hands a little bit, but I shouldn't do that while I'm on the podcast. This depends on if I have time. It depends on the length of time I have. So we're going to go with, I have a lot of time. Okay. I have time to make this happen. This person, no one's going to notice them missing for a little while. Okay. Or at least not right away. So I would first kill them with good old poison. You know, it is what women tend to choose more over history. So, why not? It's a classic. It's a classic for a reason. Okay. How would I get rid of/hide the body? Well, as a known foodie, it would not be weird if in the months leading up to this, if this was premeditated, we'll say it is. Okay. If it was premeditated, I have purchased a food dehydrator or a freeze dryer. I think a freeze dryer would work better. Freeze dryer. And a mill, an at-home mill where you can mill your own wheat for flour. Two things I've actually kind of wanted to buy anyway. Not weird, right? Shelby talks about food all the time on her show. Of course she would buy these food gadgets that aren't typically seen in a home kitchen, but she likes to do, it's her, I just said it was my hobby, I love doing it. So, okay. If you hear squeaking, it is my foot on my chair. I'm sitting with one leg up. I never sit straight. Sorry. Okay. Unless I'm fully narrating. Again, this is more casual. When I'm in narration mode, both feet are on the floor. I'm sitting up straight, all that. Right now, not. We're hanging out. So I have these two items. I poison you. Okay. Or this person. Let's just say it's you. Okay. Come with me. This is a guided nightmare. And you're the star. Okay. I poison you. You die. Sorry about it. I am sure I had my reasons. You die. And then I chop up your body into little pieces. I store those pieces in my freezer. Maybe I've even bought a deep freezer at this point. Again, not suspicious. I do so many food experiments. I'm telling you guys all the time about which baked goods freeze beautifully, aren't I? So, deep freezer, store you in there. I'm not going to eat you. Gross. No. I mean, for one, I poisoned you. For two, human meat, disgusting. No, I don't know what you've been eating or where you've been, what medications you've taken. I don't know any of that. So, deep freezer. I freeze you until I cut you into little pieces. Little by little, I'm going to put you in my freeze dryer. Okay, your meat into my freeze dryer. And I'm going to freeze dry all your little pieces. And your bones, I'm going to roast those until they're dry. Dry as a bone. They're dry, 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 dry. Your bones, putting them in my mill to grind them into a dust, much like flour. Your meat, I'm putting them in the freeze dryer. Again, freeze drying those into fun little squares. And I'm going to pulverize those squares into dust that I'm going to mix with the bones. Or maybe I won't mix them. I don't know. We'll see. And then over time, I'm going to sprinkle your remains in several different rural areas across maybe even several states. Or, California's a big state. I can take a road trip. You will be sprinkled across the beautiful state of California. You'll have so many views in the afterlife. But also, there will be absolutely nothing of you left. There will be no remains. You will be dust. And that dust will recommune with the earth. And there will be nothing of you left to find. Of course, whether I get away with this or not will depend on a lot of factors, because someone might have seen you, like the last place you were seen was at my house, or, maybe we had some angry exchanges, or I don't know. But there will never be a body. They won't ever find a body. So that's how I do it. Okay, next question. Could I pay you to reproduce The Charred Man? It's one of my favorite episodes, and while the OG is good, your sound quality has improved and you're amazing at adding the perfect effects and sounds to go along with the story. You don't have to pay me. I mean, you can pay me in listening to the show, or on the regular feed where you hear ads. By the way, all you have to do is click on the episode. You don't even have to listen to the whole episode. If you're like, what, I just love my old pal Shelby and I don't want her to poison me and cut me up into cubes and put me in a freeze dryer. So you can always click on the regular feed if you're like a Patreon patron or something, and you don't even have to listen to the whole episode. It that was supposed to be a snap. That was a weak ass little snap. There we go. That's better. It'll auto trigger the ads, and it'll just think that you listened. It does track whether you listen to the whole episode. I do have those analytics, but it helps when you click on the regular. Not saying you have to do that, but I'm just letting you know that is an option. So anyway, you asked if you could pay me to reproduce Charred Man. I've thought about reproducing some of those earlier stories because my sound was god awful. And I actually mentioned a couple years ago about redoing the Omail Swamp Tour because I put it into one of the fan favorites. And a few people said they didn't want me to redo it. I don't know. I'm shrugging my shoulders. But I would actually like to revisit those at some point and redo them. I'm a better narrator now. I had no experience narrating anything then. I'd never done any sort of voice work. I was talking into the wrong side of the microphone. I was I'm still self-taught, but I used a literal sock from my sock drawer as a pop filter on my microphone for the first few episodes because I didn't have a pop filter and I couldn't afford one. And the internet said it worked fine. So, but yeah, I'd like to redo those someday. Let me know if there are any of the older ones that are mine. I don't know about redoing some that aren't my own stories because that would be I'd have to get in touch with some of those older authors, and some of them I've tried and I can't they're just not reachable at the moment. But some of my older personal ones, yeah, let me know. See, hi Shelby, I've been a big fan of the show since Limes. Hey, that's an old one. And you've been a huge inspiration to me. Thank you. I was wondering what podcasting software you think is best and how you prefer to distribute/monetize. I've been wanting to start my own pod for a while. Much love, Azzy. So remember how we did Hear Me Out about horror? I have a Hear Me Out about podcast software because all of my podcast friends think I'm crazy. You should see the way these people roll their eyes at me. And look, I get it. I still use Audacity, which is a free software. It's free, which is why I started using it. I got pretty good at it. Everybody told me to move to Pro Tools or Audition. I've tried. I just really like Audacity. I've gotten to know my way around it really well. They've done so many updates that are incredible. And honestly, when I was working for Spotify, they at one point had one of their professional sound engineers come to my apartment to install a new microphone. and that was like owned by them. Oh my God, I even had to send it back when I stopped working for them. Obviously, I have to send back like my laptop and stuff, but it was just such a pain in the ass. Anyway, he came and installed these microphones, and this dude was like, he knew his stuff. He's very professional. Anyway, I told him, because he asked the same question, and I winced, and I was like, ugh, I use Audacity, I know, and like immediately went into like, I know, blah, 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 like, I know it's not like whatever, and he was like, whoa, he's like, hey, that's totally fine. If you can get Audacity to work for you this way, then then it works. And he was very kind, and he was like, you know, Audacity is actually kind of difficult to use because it is kind of stripped down. So to get it to do the things that you get it to do is impressive and meant a lot to me. So, I mean, I'm still pro Audacity. That's what I still use. I've always used it. I won't say I'm not ever going to use something more professional, but that's what I use. And then you asked about distributing and monetization. It's a little difficult to answer because when I first started, it was a different world. It was a different industry in podcasting. I started in 2018, and I started with Audio Boom, which is still around. You can go check them out. I don't know much about them anymore because I haven't been with them for a very long time. I've heard things, but I don't feel comfortable saying those things because they are all from other parties and I have not experienced these things. The reason I left Audio Boom was because Spotify offered me a job, and as many of you know, I was exclusive to Spotify for about 1.5 years. It's like 1 year and 4 months. And so that was why I left Audio Boom. From there, Acast, who I was with for a while, they kind of swooped in and offered me a great deal and they had some great things to say. So I kind of went there. And so as you can see, and then now I'm with Bloody Disgusting. I'm with the Bloody FM network. So I'm with a network, which is a whole different game because you don't necessarily choose who you're being distributed by, like which website. I do like the one we use. We use Megaphone. However, Megaphone is very expensive when you're starting out. I'm with a network, so it's different. There's different parameters when you're with a network. But as an individual podcast, I have looked into it for the podcast I did before with my ex-husband, and it was pretty expensive. So it was something that I wasn't comfortable doing for a brand new podcast. I wasn't comfortable spending that money. But that is a long way to say. Just research different. I mean, there are a lot of different places out there who do there is Acast, there's Red Circle, there's still Audio Boom. There's a lot of places, and I've just been kind of out of the game of starting anew for a while that I couldn't give you the best advice, honestly. I will say just ask around, if these people are willing to meet with you, take meetings with them. Everyone I've ever been with, other than Audio Boom because I was brand new, I actually had meetings with their representatives before I signed with them. Go over your contracts. If you don't have a lawyer, have a family friend who maybe is a little more well-versed in contracts and things. Look over it before you sign, because I will warn you guys, I'm not going to name names. I'm sorry. I just won't publicly name names. There are some podcast networks and things out there, though, who are very insidious, and they are after your money, and they will take way too large of a percentage. And then they will also outright own your property. They will take ownership over your podcast and its title. And basically what can happen, and I've watched it happen, unfortunately, is they will decide to boot you as the host, put someone else as host in your stead, and you will watch this thing you built from scratch be hosted by someone else, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you cannot collect any more money from it. So that's just a warning. Be very careful. Read your contracts very closely, and have fun out there. After that, wow, what a bummer. Let's do something more fun. Not that your question was not fun. I'm sorry. I'm not judging. It's just I know I kind of I don't think that was as whimsical as an answer as you were hoping for. But I just like to be realistic. So Here's a more whimsical question. Would you start a baking podcast with your listeners who also bake? I don't know what you mean by that. Like, would I have my listeners who bake as guests on the podcast? I think that may be what you mean. I'm gonna say. Maybe. I don't really know if anyone would like a baking podcast. Would anyone be interested in that? I don't know. I don't know. I've never heard any interest for that, so it's hard to say. Sorry, that was also... I need to pick a question where I have a much more satisfactory answer than the last few. Let me dig through these. Oh, here's one from my old days, I guess. What's your favorite movie/TV show you've been a part of? Probably... Let's see. I did a lot, but I think the ones I remember the most favorably, and I have favorable memories, there was a few. Oh, sorry, I'm messing with my microphone. LA to Vegas was a show that was short-lived. I think it only did one season, but I did a lot of episodes. I was a regular on there. Sometimes you can be regular background. I was also regular background on Blackish, and you're in like every episode. That's how I was on LA to Vegas. And it was really fun because when you become a regular extra on set, you get to know everyone. Like, you get to know the cast, and not everyone necessarily, because there are some actors who act the way that you would expect them to. But you get to know the crew and everybody. It's a great, you feel like family. It's really great. One of the best experiences I ever had was definitely Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because I was on set for a week watching Tarantino work, and he works. Look, say what you will about the man. I understand. He's very controversial. I understand that. I'm not telling you to love him at all. But he is, out of all the directors I ever worked for, he was the most artistic of all of them. And I have not worked for all the directors. Don't come for me and say like, well, what about this one? I haven't worked for all the directors. I'm only saying out of the ones I worked for. He was the most involved. He was just so involved. Again, even with background, he had stories for all of us. Every table had a story. Like, I was on a date with a man, and I was eating a fruit cocktail, and at one point he wanted me to cross and go to the bathroom, and he had his stories for everyone, and it was beautiful watching him work. And he films on film, which was another kind of a rare experience these days, watching those big film canisters be carried in and out. It was like, and then, we were doing a period piece. It's a period piece, so we were dressed in period clothes, which, by the way, sometimes you'll see period clothing on TV and it's just a dress or, a suit. This man, we had to wear period correct underwear. I had on a girdle, I had on garters, I had on a slip, all under my dress, like down to everything. He's very particular, which was fun. It was a fun aspect. Like, even the background actors have a girdle on, you know what I mean? And then I was on set with Al Pacino and Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio for a week. It was a magical experience. It was like the ultimate Hollywood experience. Like, I was on set with these three of the biggest stars in the world, and with one of the biggest directors in the world, making a movie about Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard, because we actually filmed in Musso and Frank, the famous restaurant on Hollywood Boulevard. It was like Hollywood magic. It was absolutely incredible. Like, it was incredible. It was an experience I would never trade in for anything. You can't even hardly see me in the scene. You can literally see me as a blur that you would never be able to tell was even me. And I don't even care. It was an incredible experience that I will treasure forever. I have a lot of stories just from that one week that I would tell if I wasn't being recorded. But anyway. Also, Arrested Development, mostly because I love that show. I was a huge Arrested Development fan already. I've told this story a million times, but this is just part of it. It was a fun day. I had no idea I was going to be the bikini girl for the day. I had no idea. They didn't, what's it called? The people who sent me out, my casting people didn't tell me that. My agency did not tell me that. I just showed up, and then I got to hang out with Michael Cera all day, and he came up to me afterwards and shook my hand and was like, it was really great working with you. I almost got a line, but I wasn't SAG yet, so they wouldn't let me say, they had me say the line, but then they wouldn't let me use it. That's why I'm like being a mime in the scene. And then when it came out, I was the thumbnail on Netflix for that season for like a little while. And I know everyone's thumbnails are different, but I was, at least on my TV, I was the thumbnail for a while, and it was like, whoa. And just scrolling past, I would see me, my back. It was usually my back because you could see Michael Cera in the big suit. And so that was, again, another magical thing that I just had no idea was going to be happening. So those three. So there's a few questions I got that were pretty similar, so I'm going to combine some of them. Like this one asked me about if I've ever considered reading audiobooks, and they say, I really hope it doesn't seem weird, but I think you'd be such a good narrator for romance novels. If you ever do, I'd be the first in line. And also, it's not a question, but I just wanted to say I love your show so much. Love the show so much. So I got a few questions about audiobooks. I got a few questions about reading other genres, and they specified romance. And yeah, I would be 100,000% open to that. And I know some of you are asking in a polite way about smut. And yes, I would totally read smut. I have no objections to that. Honestly, I just need to figure out how to get one of those jobs. I auditioned for a few books a few years ago on, it's ACX? Is it ATX? ACX? The Amazon one, where you can go audition for Amazon books, and I didn't get any of them. And so I think I got a little discouraged. I admit, I'm only human. And so I got a little discouraged, and like one person had like reached out to me specifically and said, hey, can you audition for my book because I love your voice? And I didn't get that one. And I was like, wow, I must have really screwed up if they like came to me to ask me to audition and I still didn't get it. But, I'm still open to it. I haven't been so discouraged. I think I just took a few years away from it, and I would love to, though. I would love to narrate audiobooks. I would not be opposed to reading I read romance in my own life. I like having a palate cleanser of a beach read, between all the other stuff that I read. So, yeah, I would, yes. That was a long way to say yes. So if you're out there and you have a book, and you need a narrator, and you can, I don't know, send me your info. Let's see. The new psychological thriller Apartment 7A is now streaming on Paramount Plus. Julia Garner stars as a struggling young dancer who suffers a devastating injury. Soon she finds herself drawn in by dark forces when a peculiar, well-connected older couple promises her a shot at fame. Diane Wiest, Kevin McNally, and Jim Sturgis also star in the Paramount Plus original movie. Buy Apartment 7A on digital or stream it now on Paramount Plus. Rated R. Head to ParamountPlus.com/Apartment7A to try it free.
Fall is here, and if you want to sleep in the coziest bed imaginable, you have to start with Boll & Branch's best-selling 100% organic cotton sheets. You'll spend every night wrapped in buttery, breathable softness and feel your sheets get even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with Boll & Branch's 30-night guarantee. Plus, for a limited time, get 20% off and free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com with code SPAN. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
So, what's the mark?
The Eye of Cthulhu. From the world of Dragon Age comes a new tale.
The Eye was crafted centuries ago by a powerful dreamer.
Listen to me. You've been tricked. We have to put this back and leave.
I'm sorry, but I won't let you pay for my mistakes.
The Eye will destroy us.
Dragon Age, Vows and Vengeance. Listen and subscribe wherever you get podcasts.
Who are some of your favorite Victorian authors for all things horror and ghost story? I have a few. It's hard to pick a favorite, but some of mine are definitely Sheridan Le Fanu is one of my favorites. I think I've had a couple of his stories on the show. Of course, Edgar Allan Poe, Henry James. Really like Henry James. Ambrose Bierce. I love Ambrose Bierce. I have not read on the show yet An Occurrence at Owl Bridge. but it's it's such a good story. There's also, if you don't feel like reading it, if you feel like cheating a little bit, there is a Twilight Zone episode based on an occurrence at Owl Bridge, or I always thought it was Owl Creek Bridge. Is it Owl Bridge or Owl Creek Bridge? I can't remember now. But anyway, there is a Twilight Zone based on that, so you can watch that. But I've wanted to read that one on the show, and I always pull back, and I don't know why. I think it's, things he wrote a lot about around the Civil War era, and I don't know, something about that makes me a little bit hesitant to read it on the show. But for, it was a lot of reasons. Anyway, I started reading, Picture of Dorian Gray. Oscar Wilde is becoming a quick favorite of mine. His work is beautiful. I just love the way he I don't know, he's just a beautiful writer, and I love the way he says things without saying things. There's a lot of allegories. Speaking of allegories, Edgar Allan Poe, of course. Did I already say him? Probably I did. But yeah, there you go. There's a few to check out. Mary Shelley, I think she counts. I think she was a little before the Victorian era. Was she? I don't know. I'm not good at dates, but Mary Shelley, fantastic. I got a lot of various ways to ask me what my favorite horror movie was, what my favorite scary movie was, what my 4 favorite horror movies are, what my favorite horror movie from the early 2000s is, which made me feel old. But I know it's been enough time that people are doing early 2000s stuff. It's like a look back, which is crazy. Well, early 2000s, I can tell you it's a toss-up between Ghost Ship and 13 Ghosts. There you go. One of those two. I know a lot of people have a lot of feelings. I guess those are kind of hear me outs as well. Favorite horror movies. That's hard. I mean, saying your favorite movie is hard in any genre. Movies I enjoyed a lot. You've heard me already talk about this. Skinamarink is probably the movie that scared me the most recently. Actually scared me. Actually made me feel uncomfortable fear as I was watching it. So there's that. I mentioned Host earlier. Host, I think, is fantastic. But then I really love classic horror movies like House on Haunted Hill and Psycho. I love a lot of Hitchcock movies that, like The Birds. The Birds scared the absolute shit out of me as a kid. Oh my God, The Birds scared me so bad. I was like, can they do that? Can they do that? And then, of course, like there's like great 80s ones like Poltergeist. Those are a lot of my favorites that I guess they are favorites because they, thought of them off the top of my head. What's a random one I love from the 90s is Frighteners. The Frighteners. And it was by Peter Jackson, like Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson. It's kind of silly. A lot of people, again, it's another kind of hear me out. But I really enjoy the Frighteners. And I think that's like on all the apps. Like I think it's on Tubi and stuff. So there are some of my favorite horror movies. Wait, I'm back. I stopped to find my next question, and I remembered actually another one of the scariest movies I ever saw that I think is one of my favorite found footage movies ever, and I love found footage. Have I mentioned that? Maybe once or twice. Is Gonjeom Haunted Asylum. It's a South Korean found footage horror movie. Very good. Oh, it's scary. It's so well done too. It's great, especially for the internet age, because it's like these young adults, they're doing like a live stream inside this haunted asylum, and it's very good. It's Gonjeom Haunted Asylum. I recommended it a while back, and a lot of my UK listeners said that it wasn't available in the UK, but I hope it is now because, God, for Halloween season, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun, and it's scary. It's very, very good. Okay, this one's a little more personal. It's a little more serious. That's okay. As someone who has been on the fence with ending a 10-year relationship, what tips do you have on the separating of things process? I'm not married like you were, but still have all of my adult life tied into this human, and I'm unsure of where to even begin. Any tips would be hugely appreciated. Keep up the good work. You're so good at what you do. Thank you so much. I'm not hesitating because I'm uncomfortable with the question, by the way. I am hesitating because it's hard for me to say what happened in my relationship, which I have not spoken about publicly, is it happened very out of nowhere. It was not necessarily a slow, like, process. Wow. I'm trying hard to explain this without talking. I'm sorry. I'm struggling. Advice I can give is look, since you're not married, there's probably not as much bureaucracy involved, which is honestly was one of the harder parts for me, was all the bureaucracy, was all the paperwork and government buildings and name changes and all that. That was a lot. You're maybe like, so all I can say is in 10 years, you don't want to be here. If you're already on the fence, just tip over to that other side, because you don't stay somewhere because of the sunk cost fallacy, which is something that I unfortunately think I did. You stay somewhere because you've put so much time into it and because you have so many entanglements. Leaving is going to be very hard. I'm not going to lie to you and try to make you feel better about that. It's going to be very hard. But just do. I don't know exactly what you meant for tips. I don't know if you meant like actual like day-to-day, again, like bureaucratic tips on like what to do with insurance and things like that. But I doubt it. I don't know if that's what you meant. But I'll just go with the more life advice stuff. I hope you have a support system, even if it's online friends. Most of my friends don't live near me, so they're technically, I guess, online friends. I don't consider them online friends, but you know, they got me through it. And after 10 years, it's really hard to turn off certain things. You can't just immediately turn off emotions. There will be times where you physically hurt because you are so emotionally hurt and it's so emotionally hard. And that is natural and that is okay, and you will get past it. And I want to say that the lack of peace you may be feeling now, that you feel like is permanent, the anxiety, the things that you're feeling where you feel uncomfortable in your own skin, uncomfortable in your own home, that can go away. You can be alone. You can do it. And when you do, you will find a sense of peace that is indescribable. Something that you thought you couldn't even, it was unthinkable before. You couldn't even have imagined it. And you'll find a routine. And that's the hardest part, is getting out of the routine of your life right now. But you will find a routine. And that routine will bring you so much peace. And every day will get easier. But in the beginning, it's going to be very hard. But the hard part is very worth it. And I know sometimes it's hard to leave situations because, for various reasons, obviously, there's many financial and social reasons why, but if those aren't necessarily a factor, and most of the reason is because you're scared, it's okay to be scared. But you're a strong person. You're stronger than you know you are. You truly are. You're stronger than you know you are. And it's okay to go be alone and learn who you are. And maybe none of this I just said has anything to do with your situation, and you truly were just asking, like, how do I, get my own insurance, and how do I take his name off the title of the house, things like that. But that's my advice, I guess. I don't even know if that was advice. I don't know if that was good, but that's what I have to say. And it's going to be not just okay, but it's going to be great. And your life can be great. I promise. It won't necessarily look like what you thought it was going to look like, and that's better than okay. Because who did she or he, I actually don't know. I'm sorry, I don't mean to gender you because I don't know. It doesn't say this. I'm saying she mostly because I'm thinking about myself. what did they know 10 years ago? 10 years ago, what did they know about the future? You're in the future. You're here now, and you know more. So if it doesn't look the same way that it did 10 years ago in your head, 10 years ago you was 10 years stupider than you are now. Right? So, there. But seriously, I hope I send you love, and I hope you have an easy transition in all of this. And just go with your gut. Go with your gut. And listen to your gut. Sometimes we hear our guts and we don't listen to them, because I did that for a long time. And yeah. Okay, I love you. Next question. One of them it's a multi-part question, but I'm going to answer part of it. And part of it is, where are you originally from? I'm from Imperial, California. It's a little tiny town in the middle of the desert. You can look it up on a map. It's in the middle of the desert. It's very small. That's where I'm from. Go Tigers. Also, if anyone is from there who listens to my show, or even the whole county, if you're from there, we're small. We all mingle. Let me know. It always excites me a lot to hear when people from there listen to my show. It just I don't know, it gives me an extra oomph. I don't know why. It gives me some sort of pride, I guess. Wow, someone from my little town listens to my little show. I don't know, something about it. So if you do, feel free to let me know. And I'll send you a sticker or something. I don't know. Okay, this is one. So this is already going to be an hour long. I have a few voicemails I want to play. Some of them that weren't questions, but I want to play them because, one of them is a doozy. Love it. And it entertained me to no end. Hopefully it will you too. Someone else sent in their own guided nightmare that I want to end the show with. And there are a few in there that are just very kind messages that I want to play. And again, I did not get to all the voicemails. I'm going to do another one of these soon. So don't worry. Again, and if this episode made you think of new questions, the question form is in the show notes, and you can send in more questions, and I can get to them next time. Or voicemails, however you want to send them. But this questionnaire little sheet is actually very helpful. So send it on over to this little... and it's anonymous. Or you can sign it. A few people did sign it at the end if you want me to know your name. But, let's see. I lost it. Hold on. Here it is. Okay. Abby, you sent me a message that meant a lot to me. This is the message. I found Scare You to Sleep earlier this year and immediately began a full binge from the beginning. It and you are brilliant, by the way. Your best pieces are the ones you wrote. Thank you. I noticed pretty immediately that you constantly apologized for everything. Being late, being sick, mispronouncing something, or for nothing whatsoever. I would frequently yell at the cast, "Stop apologizing." Eventually, I started counting. By 4 years in, you were up to an average of 4.6 apologies an episode, minus guided nightmares. About a year ago, that shifted, and you finally stopped being so sorry for your every move. Maybe there's no question here. You can share that evolution if you'd like, but I thought I'd let you know. I like you even more now. Abby. Abby. That meant so much to me because, to the person who asked the question earlier about leaving a relationship, you go through a lot of personal growth. Or sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't. I personally have gone through a lot of personal growth. If I do say so myself. And sometimes you can't see that growth. And you sending that in made me feel so good. It made me feel so good, and thank you so much. Because you have no idea what hearing that meant to me. Hearing that a year ago, because today's the day. A year ago is when my entire life ended. It ended. And to hear that starting a year ago, and I know it's give or take a few weeks or months, but hearing that I stopped apologizing so much a year ago means more than you could ever know. And I would have never known that had you not told me. I would have never known that. It means so much to me to know that. It means it's basically a ruler showing me in so many words how much I've grown over the year and how much, again, to the person who was thinking about ending the relationship, how much all that hard stuff was so worth it. So thank you, Abby. Thank you so much. And like you said, it's not a question, but I just really wanted to read that and really say thank you. And I will try to stop apologizing so much. Okay. Let's move into some of these voicemails to end off the show. There were so many questions. I got 33 alone on the anonymous form. I don't even know how many on Instagram. I had way more voicemails than this. Let me see. My voicemails that I used stopped in June and it's off. So there are still several more from, oh wait, no, those are my text messages. Hold on. Let me go to the voicemails. Voicemails stopped in, I don't even know, May, April, March, April. I think the same around June, July. And there's still so many more. Ooh, I got a few on my birthday. How cool. Some of them come with transcripts, but some of them don't. Some of them, it's like, Google's like, I don't know what they're saying. And actually, some of those are the ones that I really couldn't include. So if you did send one before June and it's not included, some of them, it's just, you were maybe like one person in particular, I don't want to call out who they were, but they were outside and they said that in the message. They were outside and you could hear wind and it's just really difficult to understand what you're saying. And the transcription wasn't picking it up. So I couldn't even like read it to transcribe it myself, like read it. Because some of these, it's a little difficult to hear, but I can at least read it to the listeners. And I couldn't. So, yeah. So again, leave your messages, leave a voicemail, text me, text that number, have at it. So for the voicemails, I wanted to start off with this person who I got this voicemail a while back. This is the only one I cheated and used from more recent because they ended up leaving me 4 voicemails. And this is going to be a bulk. This is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is going to be 11 minutes on its own. So it's its own little story. And he left me the first message and I mentioned him on my show. And I was like, he sounds like the Long Legs guy. I just went and saw Long Legs. He sounds like Long Legs. And he took that and ran with it. And I love it. I love this so much. So much. And I hope you do too. This entertained the hell out of me. And I hope that they're listening and they know that. Okay. Here we go. Wait, before I start this, please don't everybody start a tradition of sending me like 12 whole minutes of voicemails. I'm not going to do this for everybody. This guy just got in. He's the first one and it was very entertaining to me. And so remember, 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes for your voicemails. You can leave more than one if you think of more than one question for sure. But this is a special occasion. Don't do this. I can't have no one's going to want to listen to an episode of like 15 minutes worth of solid person voicemails. Okay, here it is.
Oh, that was a bit spooky. Well, Shelly Novak. It's kind of funny. I jotted down your number here after listening to the show. Love the show. Just love the show. Short time fan, but first time voice message leaver. Yeah. But when I jotted this here down, then I spelled your name ending in a C instead of a K. So, my blunder, yeah. Anyway, Jack Billings here, and I used to run a segment called How to Make Your Podcast Better. And, you're doing great. I just listened to the episode Teeth.jpg, and oh boy howdy, it was a goodie. I do like the horror, but what concerns me is that you were making mention about taking out all of your yim-yamming at the end. No ma'am, no missy. That yim-yamming part at the end is, well, I mean, it adds a certain quality to your storytelling from all those others, your peers. Well, it honestly made me care more about your show. Lordy Lou, that show has heart. It is what I would have said if I told anyone about it. But, that's my private life. And, for what I'm known for. No. Excuse me. Tucker, no. I'm not fucking talking to you. Now give me some space. Yeah, you're bad. I apologize for Tucker. But at any rate, yeah, I thought you were still a nice lady, even though it got all ooky spooky. So at any rate, please, for the sake of the ground we walk, do not separate your show. We need that talking part because basically, listen, I feel like I'd be getting ripped off. I mean, I'm paying for the whole show, the story time, and then the catch-up time with you, Shelby. All right, give me a ring-a-ling-ding here, and,
Okay, he got cut off, but here is part 2. And I will not stop my yim-yams. Don't worry. I mean, look at this. This whole episode is just nothing but rambles. So here's his second message.
Beep. Hey, short-time listener, second-time caller-inner. Boy, howdy. Hello, yes, Shelby Novak, it's me. Jack Billings here, and I have a few words for you. Listen, I realize that your latest of episodes has been out from last week, and I recently just got around to listening on in, like this morning. After all, I am a very busy man, but I got there. I mean, being busy is pretty much what I'm known for around here. And, okay, number one, this is getting crazy. I just want to clear out all this air about, long legs and the tizzy, all that. So ready, steady. Yep. It just so happens that Osgood Robert Perkins, he reached out to me. Yeah, with me. It turns out Ozzy Perk. Oh, that's what I call him, because we're buds now after all this. Well, he's a really big fan of my own show, the one that's all about my very real human life. See, he was worried that I take legal action about all the shared characteristics between myself and his long Mr. Downstairs legs. Now, of course, I could use the cash money payout. I mean, who couldn't, huh? But when Sir Nicolas Cage gave me a jingle, I realized that this was truly for the art of it, and that's the foundation of this whole thing. So, I ended up submitting and going to see the movie film. I watched it twice, front to back to front to back. I was there with my good bud, Silver Larry. We both thought, lots of stuff about the film, but I don't know, nothing that reminded me or was reminiscent of my own life and or I almost said Piscetti. Persona. So, I don't give a toot about all that anymore. And if I was long legs, this is what I would sound like. Yeah. Oh my, Lordy Lou. How old are you this birthday, girl? Hail Satan. See, nothing like me. Real life Jack Billings.
And part 3.
So, in fact, I was wondering why they called that character Long Legs. and I figured that it was just a metaphor for, his legs stretching all the way down to his final resting place in Hades. Another misconception that's been about is about my legs. Again, not wrong. The two legs of Jack Billings here are normal length human legs. Normal length when laying and of normal height when standing. Probably when sitting as well, but I haven't researched that. The only body part of me that is not of normal average length, well, it's that of my real-life human penis. In fact, words that come to mind when I'm forced to think about it. Let's see. First off, whatever the opposite of intimidating is, that's a goodie. And, lackluster. Forgettable. That's too akin. Lackluster. How about unreliable? Yeah. Yep. Nailed it, Jack. So, anyway, get back at me and, I'll just be here stationed on my sun porch with sweet tea in hand. Hope those teens don't get up to no good. Okay, bye. Jack Billings.
And here is the final voicemail.
Oh, where is my brain this morning, huh? Like I left it in bed under the pillow. Oh, guess I'll check on that after this call. But, it just occurred to me that I didn't really give you any advice on how you can make your show better, which you probably can't. So I'm going to give you advice on how you can bake better. Oh, Lordy Lou, I was not going to pipe up about it, but here I am, yeah. So let's yim-yam about this for a bit, huh? Dutch baby thing, the whole sitch. I for one think, you should give babies another try. Perhaps Dutch baby just, isn't your liking? Have you considered a Canadian baby, a Greek baby, or a Thai baby? Perhaps your palate is just begging for a standard American mix? I'm not sure about the availability of babies in your area, but you do seem like a very resourceful human being, and I'm sure you can handle the task. Now, you just mentioned that you bake it, and you claim that it was too eggy for your liking. Well, boy, howdy, I am no bakery engineer or pâtisserie, but maybe just try using less eggs inside the next baby, before it hits your preheated oven. Just a thought, and I asked around for you, and everyone thinks it'll work out. Now, about the static last episode, really scary. A+ number 1. Oh, that was a ghost of a chiller for a moment. I thought you died and were podcasting as the dead. Well, before I go, my win-win that you wished me for was that I lounged about with my cat, Pie Baby, and we watched that movie, Men, in slow motion, and then in reverse motion. I think it's going to be my new Sunday ritual. It'll be I need a drink. It'll be less messy than my normal ritual. Okay, Jack Billings, get back at me. I'm awaiting your response. Okay, bye.
Jack Billings, thank you so much for all of your voicemails. I died laughing. I'm dead after you said to just add less eggs to the baby. Oh, and your little beverage, like, interlude. Oh my God. These cracked me up so hard. Again, don't everybody send me 15 minutes worth of voicemails. Jack Billings just absolutely tickled my funny bone. So I had to share those with you. And now I have a few more voicemails. This next one is from my friend Derek at the Watch If You Dare podcast, which I've been on several times and is such a great show. Go check it out. And he has some advice for you about podcasting. Actually, he answered a lot of your questions that you had. So many of you had questions about podcasting in general. He actually answered this much more eloquently than I could. So here, listen to Derek.
Hey, Shelby. Derek from Watch If You Dare podcast here. You might hear my little one in the background. I just wanted to piggy off you answering that Instagram message from Donnie and your recent voicemail full 4 episode. I think it was episode 324. He asked for advice on starting a podcast, and I just wanted to say I wholeheartedly agree with everything Shelby says, especially about the editing. Learning to edit or having an editor helps get rid of a lot of the ums and uhs and likes and all those awkward pregnant pauses and little dialogue ticks that we all have but are sometimes hard to hear in a podcast. It's a very small detail, but it goes a very long way with helping episode flow and even helps cut down run times if you feel like your run time is getting too long on each episode. I'd also like to add, do a podcast on what you love. Do something you would love to talk about. I mean, duh, but seriously, treating it like a passion project and a fulfilling creative endeavor, no matter if it becomes a career or just remains a fun hobby, will prevent any kind of burnout, and you'll love what you're doing the whole time. Don't do it for the money or internet fame. Listeners can tell whether you're actually passionate about the show's themes and subjects, or if you're just phoning it in. With a little extra work on socials and word of mouth, many listeners will come if they can tell you're just enjoying yourself alone. Our first episode on Watch If You Dare got like 30 downloads the first month we were out, if even. Please keep going and recording and making it art. I do think podcasting is an art form. Shelby is an example of that. Shelby also mentioned shows ending around their 3rd episode, and unfortunately that's absolutely true. Even with shows that did want to continue going on, it wasn't people that just realized, I hate podcasting. So please, if you're going to start a podcast, keep going, keep doing it, keep being consistent about release schedule, everything. But if you ignore everything else I just said, at least heed this last piece of advice. Listen to Shelby's suggestions, because her show is way more successful than mine. But for real, thank you, Shelby, for featuring my message on that voicemail episode, and thank you so much for all your kindness to your listeners and to the podcast community as a whole. You've given our show so much time just by being a frequent guest on it, and I can't thank you enough. And Shelby, one last thing. Holy shit, what's that thing behind you? She looks just like you, Shelby, but her eyes, oh God, her eyes are just hollow sockets. Please don't turn around, Shelby. Don't turn, no!
If you don't remember, Derek is also the one who actually fooled me that one time. He actually convinced me that he was being committed to a mental asylum and that he had escaped. He like texted me as like his wife and his friend, and I was so, he got me. And in that last voicemail full episode, which is from around March, you can hear all of our exchanges, because he actually did it over text, which made it even creepier because, yeah, anyway, I read it dramatically in the last voicemail episode, but he's been the only one so far, the only one who has managed to scare me in any of these. Because one thing I also ask for all my voicemail episodes and Q&A episodes is try to scare me. Try to scare me. Oh, I did get one text that was really funny, and it was a little ghost emoji, and it was taxes when you're self-employed, and that is scary. That is scary. But yeah, so yeah, try to scare me. Okay, on to the next.
Hi, Shelby. I just want to say I love your show, and please make 1,000 more Ramble You to Sleeps just so I can actually sleep at night. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you for the kind message. And I did just make another Ramble You to Sleep yesterday. I try to like save up fun things to talk about. And so like yesterday I talked on, if you're not a Patreon member, which you can become one for $3 to listen to the latest Ramble You to Sleep, I talked about like the convention, and I talked about movies I'd watched, and I don't even remember what I talked about. It was pretty popular though. I had a few people who really liked that one. So yeah, go listen to that. Thanks.
Hello, Miss Shelby. This is one of your poltergeists calling. I officially listened to all of your available free content, and I find myself just waiting for a new episode. So I'm like, you know what? I'll become a poltergeist and listen to the plethora of episodes that you have available behind the paywall. So I'm happy to officially be a poltergeist, and I appreciate what you do. Much love from Carson City, Nevada. Okay, bye.
Much love to Carson City, Nevada. I didn't pay these people to tell you to join Patreon, by the way. I didn't. This was all on them. These are not paid actors, I promise. Because a poltergeist is one of the tiers on my Patreon. By the way, I don't want to sound creepy. I get people who tell me this, though. You sound just like my oldest friend, JJ. You sound just like her. She doesn't listen to the show either. I'm going to have to tell her about this. And you sound just like her. It's so crazy. And we send each other voice notes. So even you sending it in a voicemail sounds like her sending me a voice note. For half a second, I was like, this is JJ messing with me. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, it's not. But you sound just like my oldest friend. So that was nice to hear your voice. Thank you.
Hi, Shelby. I am a short-term listener, but constant listener. A big fan of horror. And I just finished listening to the Terms and Conditions episode, and I loved it. I just kind of wanted to say that, like, the ones that I've been listening to, so I listen to all the new ones, like, as soon as you put out a new one, I'll listen to the new one, but I've also been going through, like, the archive, and, overall, I feel like you have the most incredible work written by women. Like, all of the stories that I've heard that are written by women are just, like, the darkest and spookiest, but just, like, so well written. And you're, like, it's also, like, a mystery in a way. Like, and again, I listen to all of them, so I also like the ones written by men. But I feel like a lot of times when I listen to the ones written by men, they are a little bit more straightforward, especially if it has, like, a woman antagonist. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of tired of the, like, she was super sexy, but she was also a murderer. It's like, okay, another descent into madness written by a man, and you're like, okay, it's scary, she killed you, okay. But, like, Terms and Conditions, and, like, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's been a lot of, like, really, really good ones that I'm like, whoa, that's spooky. Yeah, I just want to say women are the lords, ladies of horror. And I love your podcast, and I love your work. And yeah, thank you for making all of this great stuff. I don't know if you probably won't put this on your thing. But yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Bye, Shelby.
Well, guess what? I did put it on the thing. So there. I like how you turned into a little bit of a mobster while you were Terms and Conditions, and she was spooky. I like that. That was fun. I appreciate that. I try to find more, unique stories. I like stories that are, someone actually, earlier someone asked me about Slender Man, and, like, look, I'm not gonna, like, knock Slender Man. It clearly created a phenomenon, and some real life things as well. But we've heard Slender Man. But I do understand because, like this last episode I had, The House That Death Forgot, pretty popular. Other shows have done it, and a few of you mentioned like you've heard it on my friend Creepy's show. His name isn't Creepy, but his show is called Creepy. And I have heard from some of you who have had requests for stories you've heard before, but you want to hear me read them, which is so flattering. So flattering. Really, you know, again, another theme, another callback from earlier in the episode. We talked about my older episodes and how I've definitely grown as a narrator, and it's not something I've ever been taught to do. I didn't take any classes. I've never been told, at least before this, I had never been told anything complimentary about my voice at all. And it's cool to hear when people are like, I've heard this story before by like 10 other people, but I want to hear you tell it. And I love that. It means a lot to me. And this episode has been a real ego boost. So thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to see the show growing. Hearing from all of you makes me feel really good. The show, it had a little bit of a rough summer, numbers-wise, I'm not going to lie. So if you could send me all the good vibes and spread the word of the show, that would be great. But it got a little, got a little hairy there, and it was freaking me out. And it was the moment where I was like, ugh, I might need to find, I don't know, I might not need, maybe this isn't working. Maybe this show is dying, maybe this is not working out. And the numbers are starting to recover. And hearing from all of you has made me feel really good. Really, really, really good. Really, 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 really good. So again, tell your friends about the show. I hate to ask for stuff like that, but if you could spread the show, if you could just spread the word, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your students, depending on what age group you teach. Like, don't tell your kindergartners about it. I don't want any angry emails from parents. Kindergartners know how to work podcast apps, right? I bet they do these days. I'm sure they do. Don't tell them. Tell your postman. Tell your best friend. Tell the nice person at the grocery store who is always bagging your groceries or who is at the check stand. Tell your librarian. All the library love I got, by the way, was awesome after my last little rant about library snobs. Tell your librarian about it. They might think it's cool. Tell them I love the library. Tell them I'm pro-library. And then we'll get into the library system and slowly we'll take over. I don't even know what that means. Okay, I am going to say goodbye, personally, right here, because I'm going to end it with Destiny, who has sent in her own guided nightmare. It's broken up over 2 voicemails. Again, my voicemail maxes out at 3 minutes. I didn't do that. Google did that. I'd yell at them if you need more than 3 minutes, but Google did that. So she sent in her own guided nightmare. Again, don't send in a bunch of your own guided nightmares. Well, be original. Be original. But I thought it'd be fun to end this episode with this original. This is the only ever guided nightmare that's been on the show that wasn't written by me or performed by me. So that's kind of fun. So I'm going to say goodnight. And I want to say again, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have no idea how cool it is that I'm sitting here and I didn't even get to all the questions. Like, people want to ask me questions about me. Like, that's bananas. And it makes me feel really good. Again, I'm not going to get all squishy about it because I've done that enough this episode, but I had a rough year. You have, especially those of you who have been with me since the beginning, which I know some of you have, you've seen a lot of growth over the years. I used to, work in background acting and I'd be up till 4 a.m. editing and then I have to go to set at 5 a.m. and it's all that craziness, and I was so broke, and I had 6 roommates. Oh my god, I lived with 6 dudes when I started this show. Can you believe that? And then I went through all this other stuff, and then last year I went through a divorce with you guys, and now I'm living my best single lady life and with my cat. I didn't have a cat when this first started. I got a cat now. I live by myself, I feel like a whole different person from when this first started. Actually, that's probably a good reason to redo some of those first episodes, to put a different energy into them. A different energy. So yeah, tell your friends, spread the word about the show, please. Please, it would really mean a lot to me because I want to do this. I want to do this forever. Of course, I'm going to do other projects, but I want to keep this going. And I got a little scared this summer. Just to be 100 with you guys. Got a little scared this summer. So, spread the word. Listen to the show. Click on stuff. Yep. Send in more. Again, there's links in the show notes for more if you want to send more anonymous questions before this next one. I'll probably do it in like a few weeks from now. Another bonus one. Send in your voicemails. There's a link in the show notes for that music video if you want to watch it. And this is a trip down memory lane. That's the only reason I'm laughing is wow. And I guess look out for the tattoo. I think you can see that tattoo in that video. One of them. I have 2 others that I didn't tell you about. Maybe. If you can't, then I don't know what to tell you. They're probably on my Instagram, actually. There's a picture of me in a bathing suit on my Instagram that you can see them. In the Arrested Development, they covered them up with makeup, which is another thing I got to set that day. And I didn't know I'd been put up for this role. And they were like, you have tattoos? And I was like, no one told me I'd be in a bathing suit. I thought I was going to be in like a sundress. I literally brought little sundresses because they were like, oh, it's like a day by the pool, like lounging, or not lounging by the pool, but at a cafe by a pool. I think that's what they told me. And so I brought like little sundresses, and no, they were like, you put this bathing suit on right now. And then I had to sit in a chair next to Michael Cera with like, okay, I'll tell you, one of them is like on the front of my hip. And I had to sit in the makeup chair with my elbows in the seat of the chair, or like I think it was on the armrest of the chair, but with my crotch like thrust up, like kind of in a table plank, but like backwards plank with, you're in a plank, your back's in the air. My front was in the air while they like airbrushed this tattoo off of me. And like Michael Cera just walks in and I'm like, oh fucking Christ, that's how I met him. Was him walking in with my crotch thrust in the air with my bathing suit bottom like halfway pulled down, almost exposed, with them just and it was freezing that morning. It was in Marina del Rey, which is it's by the beach, but it was freezing. It was really cold. And so I'm just like, I'm freezing. And then and I don't know if you've ever had airbrush makeup done. It's really cold, which feels nice when it's being airbrushed on your face. Not so much in other parts of your body, especially when you're already cold. It was quite the morning. I mean, how many people can say that's how they met Michael Cera, was with their crotch up in the air, being airbrushed. So, anyway, here is Destiny's Guided Nightmare. And before I go, I'll just say it here. Please, go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.
Hi, Shelby. This is Destiny, and I would love to give my own form of a guided nightmare. So here we go. Hello, friend. Let us do some deep breathing and prepare for a journey. Close your eyes. Get comfortable. Drink some water if you need to before you start. There we go. Now, you deep breath in. You're breathing in relaxation. As we breathe out, we exhale the worries of the day. Breathe in as deep as you feel comfortable. You have your favorite blanket or something comfy, tactile. Feel it as you close your eyes. Remember that you are loved. and that you can love you. Now, picture yourself going down to a door. Down your stairs, you see a new door. What does it look like? What does it feel like? You open the door and step through, and you find yourself swirling down a colorful tunnel. It deposits you in a body of water. You see around yourself that you are on a river, floating gently. You walk in. You try to swim towards the bank to get a closer idea of what's nearby. But anything that is not merely just floating, being, you cannot seem to do. You hear rapids somewhere distant, and you're nervous. Well, Shelby, if you get my half-baked guided nightmare, I'm sorry. It's destiny. I was trying to tell you the story, and my phone just booted me off, so that was weird. Anyway, so my idea was that your character would stayed in the water, and before the rapids you see the swell of water forming a person and saying, "We will have you. You will be me." You feel the bliss, the sense of bliss overcoming you, and the rapids come. You tumble. Awareness is gone. And then you wake, new fresh eyes, though you do not feel a human self. You are in a different river. It looks like it might be desert nearby, when before it was trees. You are the water now. The water is you. No, it was something I was thinking through. You have a nice one. I love your show.